Good evening and welcome to the Surf City Town Council regular scheduled meeting. At this, we're going to call the meeting to order and ask Pastor Nathan Swartz from Chapel by the Bay Church to lead us in our invocation. And John Koloski will follow with our Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand.
Let's pray together. God, we're certainly grateful for the opportunity to make a difference today with our lives. So we pray that what we do here, what we say, the things that move forward for this town, which we love, will please you. We pray for the mayor and the town council, the directors, the staff, first responders, all of those residents as well that seek to live here and just help this place be great. So, Lord, we pray that you bless this time, help us to know what your good will is and to do it. And thank you for the opportunity to live a life, to attend meetings such as this that make a difference. We love you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to call up Sandy Moreau from our Beautification Enhancement Committee to deliver some awards.
Right, I'm going to try something with this microphone. So, Business and Home of the Month every month is an award that we give out to recognize the efforts that our citizens and our business people put into making our community a beautiful place to live. And tonight, I don't think either party is here today, but we'll be going tomorrow to bring their certificate and take photos, but I still want to recognize them. So the Business of the Month this month is Bumblebee Market. They're up on New River Drive, that beautiful yellow and black striped building that you see, and they have the cutest stuff inside, and they always decorate outside really nice with plants and beautiful decor. And then the Home of the Month, is 1022 South Shore Drive, and that is the Mr. Thomas Nagy family. And we will go out there, like I said, tomorrow and take some photos. So let's give them a round of applause, even though they're not here.
And at this time, you were going to do that too, right? Yes.
Y'all are going to get sick of seeing me. Surf in the City is a surfboard statue project that you will see. You should see about 5 of them out already around town. We've got a few more that are being installed in the next week. And they're located throughout the town. I encourage you to drive around. There's several out at the park, a couple along Roland, and a couple at some local businesses. And tonight, we're going to recognize 3 of the businesses that are sponsors for the program. And also, you'll get to hear from the artist that did all 3 of these surfboards. So first up, and I think, it's already on the screen, is Dr. Matthew Parr, if he'd like to come forward. There he is. And he has Surf City Dental, and he was one of our first sponsors to sign up, and we're super thankful. He's also been one of our Business of the Month recipients, and you recognize his big, beautiful building out there by Lowe's.
Yep. Thank you. The surfboard turned out great, so I'm thrilled with that. I'm thrilled to support the city, and just honored to be a member of this community. So thank you, board, thank you, mayor, and thank you so much for this nice presentation. It turned out great, so kudos to the artist.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mary Rowe from Innis Spa. And her spa is the most fabulous little place over there on New River Drive, and you can go and get yourself beautified and massaged and relaxed and all those kind of things. So.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So what inspired me about the surfboards was, for me, it was a way of giving back to the community. When all of our kids have grown up in the town, and just to watch them on their bikes, their surfboards, no shoes, just bare feet. And for me, it was a way to capture those few beautiful instances. And then, of course, the front of the board is the iconic bridge, or Surf City Pier even. So yes, I think it was a great project, and I'm very proud to be part of it. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you.
You'll see Mary's board over on Roland Avenue, and Dr. Parr's board is over by the boardwalk, where the picnic tables are and things over by the park. Third, we have Lori's Ace Hardware with Miss Lori Tracy Stobie and Nate Stobie, and they have also been recognized as Business of the Month in the past, and they're one of our newer businesses here in Surf City.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been open a whole year. So we're in the toddler stage. Toddlers, yep, but not terrible twos. So we were really excited when we saw this project because I just think it's a great idea to bring. I mean, it's interesting, it's engaging, it's great for tourists that could look at a map and check all the places. But I'm excited to go see all the different boards too. So working with Cricket was so much fun because I found out she's from the same area that I'm from, which is in the Midwest. So that was really fun. And I probably gave her a run for her money because we did a lot of back and forth and I wanted all this little detail, but she nailed it. So our board is definitely two-sided. So one side we did with a beach theme, and then we have some like what's supposed to represent like Yeti coolers and a Shaboomi and sunglasses. So we kind of sprinkled in things that are in the store as well without putting brand names in there. And then the other side is kind of a nod to a neighborhood and home improvement. So you got somebody grilling, painting, planting flowers. So it turned out really, really great, and it's eye-catching. And everybody that comes to the store, they're all looking at it. And we had one person ask if they could buy it, but we said no. They could sponsor one, yes. But thank you so much for allowing us to be here. And again, 1-year-old. If you haven't been in, please come in. We have a great team, and it's a lot of fun.
Thank you. And Lori's board you'll find right in front of their business at Lori's Ace Hardware. And I wanted to, if it's okay, say thank you to a few people that have helped with this project. First of all, I want to thank Chris Carter. I don't know if he's here today, but he and his staff have been fabulous, picking up boards and dropping them off at artists and getting them back again and getting them installed. And it's a lot of nitty-gritty trying to get that all coordinated. And Cheyenne for helping keep Chris in line and keep him on task. Ashley has helped immensely with the social media and the website promoting it. There's going to be a lot more information online on the website where you can find out how to be a sponsor, how to sign up to be an artist, things like that. And Jordan is creating a story map for us so that folks can go online and see where all the surfboards will be located, make a treasure hunt out of it. We've got some things in the works for the future. And then just saying thank you to all my committee members. If you can raise your hand if you're on the Beautification and Enhancement Committee. I see Richard, I saw Kim, I saw a couple other people I thought. But anyways, thank you everybody, and I really appreciate it. And I'll leave these on the back podium in case anybody's interested in becoming a sponsor. Thank you. I'm so sorry. And the artist for all three of these boards is Miss Cricket Tempa. It was on my schedule. I forgot to say it.
Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity and trusting me with making what you guys thought in your head onto a board. I appreciate every one of you. Where are you? Everywhere. The process that we try to work with is just you tell me what you want to see, and I hope to make that happen. We kind of go back and forth until it looks right to you guys, and hopefully I've done that for everyone, but I just wanted to thank you. And I don't know. There's more to come, so it'll be good.
We've got a couple more boards by Cricket going up soon, so thank you, Cricket.
Thanks. Like, Cricket's done an amazing job, and it seems like tonight's theme was about maintenance, maintaining your teeth and your beautiful smile, and getting your skin and your hair, massaged done with Mary, and then Lori's Ace Hardware, maintaining your yard and your beautiful home. And so I like maintenance, and I like that you invested and that you're proud of being a part of this community. So thank you very much. Moving on next is someone very special, and I'm not going to make him stand up here while I read. But
Come on.
Yeah.
we're going to give him a little break because I know he's a little nervous, but he's gonna come up in just a minute. So on the screen here, this is James Horn. Tonight it is my honor to recognize this individual for whose service reflects the very best of public safety, leadership, and commitment to others. Following the devastating impact of Hurricane Helene, Mr. James Horn, the Emergency Management Director for the town of Surf City, answered the call and served beyond our community. From September 27th through October the 8th, he was deployed to the North Carolina Emergency Management State Emergency Response Team as part of the First Responder Communications Strike Team, supporting response efforts in western North Carolina. Working in some of the most heavily impacted areas where infrastructure was damaged, access was limited, and communication systems were down, James played a critical role in restoring essential communications. His efforts ensured that first responders and partner agencies could coordinate operations, maintain situational awareness, and deliver life-saving services where they were needed most. In addition to supporting emergency service, James contributed directly to community recovery by helping establish public Wi-Fi access and restoring connectivity for critical businesses and services. These efforts allow residents to connect with loved ones, assess vital information, and begin the long process of recovery. In recognition of his exceptional service, I'm going to call James up now while I finish reading. James was presented with a kit flag honoring his support of North Carolina's first responder communication efforts. The flag carries a special significance. It was flown aboard a North Carolina National Guard UH-72 Lakota helicopter during active rescue and life safety missions from October 5th through October 9th, 2024, and was later flown again in his honor at the state capitol on January 2026. The presentation was made on behalf of the Governor Josh Stein and by Todd Brown, Assistant Director of Operations for North Carolina Emergency Management, representing a meaningful acknowledgement at the state level, a direct connection to life-saving missions conducted during the disaster. James Horn's actions demonstrate not only technical expertise, a strong leadership, but also a deep, unwavering commitment to public service. His work is a testament to the town of Surf City's dedication to supporting communities across North Carolina in the greatest time of need, because when disaster strikes, no community stands alone. At this time, please join me in recognizing Mr. James Horn for his outstanding service and dedication.
Where's Ashley? Come on, Ashley.
James.
Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead. The floor's all yours, but please go to the microphone and turn it around.
You got 20 minutes, man, 20 minutes.
Where did you find the picture?
Well, it's online now.
He gave you the dead one.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. It really is an honor and a privilege to be recognized by the board. Helene was most certainly not an individual effort. I was supported quite heavily by my folks of the ESF2 community out west. Without them, we couldn't have done the things that we did. I'm going to stand right here because I can hear myself. More importantly, though, is the dedication of the town to answer the call for help. We have been in that position before, as you know. So it's always good to give back. It's the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't do public speaking, in case you didn't know. And it's better if I walk, so bear with me, folks. It helps me think. When Hurricane Florence hit in 2018, we relied very heavily on outside help. We were crippled from the inside. We had no way to do a lot of things that we needed to get done. And there was a lot of folks that stepped up and helped. When the call came in for Helene, it was 10 times worse, right? At least here, we could actually call out for help. Many of the communities that we flew into didn't have that opportunity. They were literally making calls over ham radio to 30, 40, 50, 60 miles away saying, hey, we need help, send help. And it was through the ham radio network that we found a lot of places that we would end up going down the line. The helicopter was that's a new thing. Never in the ESF2 community history have we ever boarded communications technicians and ITSL folks, like disaster IT guys, right, onto helicopters and flew them what we call downrange, which is into the most impacted areas. That had never happened. So we were kind of blazing a trail, playing from a rule book that we didn't even have a copy of. And it was because of the support we had back home. I know the mayor, she called me a couple times. She probably called me more. I didn't have good cell phone service up there, but every so often I'd get a missed call from her. I talked to Kyle several times, many other folks on the board. Talked to many of you all back here, checking in. But it was the support back home that helped us go out and do the work we did out there. It was the staff backfilling our positions back home, because you know what? Business still has to run. Just because I'm not in the office, there's expectations. Staff that stayed behind, they burdened that load for us. Our families, we put everything on hold. Our families had to step up and figure out childcare and how to get the kids to soccer and all the things. So it is with great honor I appreciate the recognition. It certainly wasn't an individual effort. I accept it on behalf of everyone, because it was a true team effort. Just because you weren't in the helicopter with us doesn't mean that you didn't play a role. Real quick, I wasn't the only one that went out. We had folks from the fire department, they deployed. We had police officers that deployed, and our former PIO, she deployed twice. So that is a true testament of this town's unwavering support for a neighbor when they need it. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, we have several proclamations as well. It is Safe Boating Week, and so which one's safe? Who's doing Safe Boating Week?
I've got safe.
Oh, Andy's got it. So it's all yours, Andy.
Yeah. So for over 100 million Americans, boating continues to be a popular recreational activity. From coast to coast and everywhere in between, people are taking to the water and enjoying time together, boating, sailing, paddling, and fishing. During National Safe Boating Week, the U.S. Coast Guard and the National Safe Boating Council, along with federal, state, and local safe boating partners, encourage all boaters to explore and enjoy America's beautiful waters responsibly. And whereas safe boating begins with preparation, the Coast Guard estimates that human error accounts for most boating accidents and that life jackets could prevent nearly 75% of boating fatalities. Through basic boating safety procedures, carrying life-saving emergency distress and communications equipment, wearing life jackets, attending safe boating courses, participating in free boat safety checks, and staying sober when navigating, we can help ensure boaters on America's coastal, inland, and offshore waters stay safe throughout the season. National Safe Boating Week is observed to bring attention to important life-saving tips for recreational boaters, is observed to bring so that they can have a safer and more fun experience out on the water throughout the year. And whereas, on average, 650 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the U.S., 75% of these fatalities caused by drowning. And whereas, the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors. Whereas, a significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they worn their life jackets. Now, therefore, on behalf of Teresa Batts, do hereby support the goals of the Safe Boating Campaign and proclaim May 16th through 22nd, 2026 as National Safe Boating Week and the start of the year-round effort to promote safe boating. I urge all those who boat to practice safe boating habits and wear a life jacket at all times while boating.
Yes, please come up, all of you. Bring your son. Yeah, bring your son.
So on behalf of Surf City, the mayor and council, your proclamation, sir.
Thank you.
And podium is yours.
Thank you. I love coming up to Surf City. And aside from the fact that they always put a beautiful frame around it. We will cherish and save. So I want to start and just say real quick. Our organization is 75 years old this year. We started in 1951. 2 years after Surf City came into being. I was born in 1949, so I'm only 2 years older than this organization. And over those years, hundreds and hundreds of people have delivered safe boating education programs, navigation programs. We even do where you can take the stars and do your plotting of where you are on a chart. And all of that is driven towards being safe on the water. We lost in North Carolina last year 13 people. Doesn't sound like much. That's 13 families that are mourning someone that's not with them anymore. 90% of those were drowning, where someone thrown out of a boat and didn't have a life jacket on. This is the way when you go out in your boat. How many of you have boats? This is the way you save your own life. When you get in your car, what's the first thing you do? You put on your seatbelt. Why do you do that? Because you don't know when an accident is going to happen. You can't predict that. Same thing's true with the life jackets and in a boat. Go down to Masonboro sometime on the weekend and you'll see why you should wear life jackets every time you go out. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. We appreciate you more than you know.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for being here. Next up is the Beach Safety Week, and John Koloski will present that proclamation.
Whereas the beautiful coastal and inland beaches of Surf City, North Carolina represent a world-renowned recreational resource. And whereas Surf City residents and visitors alike are drawn to these beaches by the millions each year for water and beach activities. And whereas the aquatic environment has dangers, particularly rip currents, that can be effortlessly managed through public awareness and the vigilance of professional ocean rescue personnel, which we have right over there. Anyway, whereas for reasons of public safety, an annual reminder of the joys and hazards associated with the aquatic environment are appropriate for the commitment of the busy summer beach season. And whereas Surf City residents and visitors alike must remember, learn to swim, learn rip current safety, never swim alone, designate a water watcher, alcohol and water don't mix, feet first water entry, life jackets save lives, observe signs and flags, and beat the heat and block the sun. Mayor?
Now, therefore, I, Teresa B. Batts, do hereby support the goals of the Safe Boating Campaign and proclaim May 18th through 2026 as National Beach Safety Week. And if our Ocean Rescue team wants to come up and receive this. Get up here.
Get them all in there.
On behalf of the fire department, we'd like to thank the town council and the community for your continued support of the Ocean Rescue Program.
Okay, and next up is National Police Week, and Hugh Cannady will present.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are over 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Surf City Police Department. Since the first recorded death in 1786, there are currently more than 24,500 law enforcement officers in the United States have met the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty. The names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. And new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officer Memorial this spring, including 109 killed in 2025 and many other officers killed in previous years. The service and sacrifice of officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 38th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2026. The Candlelight Vigil is part of the National Police Week, which will be observed this year, May 11 through 16. May 15 is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and the U.S. flag should be flown at half-staff. Therefore, let it be resolved that the mayor and town council of the town of Surf City will observe May 11 through 16, 26 as National Police Week. I'd like to thank Surf City police officers and the surrounding jurisdictions for their service.
I'd like to first thank the community for the support they give us, and also the town council, because our mission could not be completed without their support. There have been a lot of police officers that have died over the years, and since I've been the chief since 2022, I focused on a few things very strongly. One of those is technology-led policing, so we can leverage technology to solve and deter crime, and also professional development for our officers. Training in firearms, de-escalation, and a number of other things that we train for, so they can be ready when evil comes to Surf City. They go out there every day to protect you, and they're ready and to step into the breach when the time comes and calls upon them to do so. I'm very honored to be up here tonight. Those of you that don't know, I'll be retiring in 3 months, but it's been the honor of my lifetime to serve as the chief here. Thank you.
Last but certainly not least is National Day of Prayer, and Trudy will present the proclamation.
Yes. Whereas throughout the history of America, prayers have been lifted up, seeking the Lord in every generation for direction, protection, provision, so that God would be glorified and bless America, resulting in America being filled with His glory, grace, and goodness, as He has answered our prayers for over 250 years. And whereas from the first Pilgrim's prayerful covenant with God in the Mayflower Compact to the Declaration of Independence and in every state constitution, God is glorified, given reverence and thanks, compelling the prayers of our Continental Congress that formed our nation to continue to flow fervently across America in this generation and in rededication, personally and corporately, to the Creator, acknowledged in our Declaration, and placing our firm reliance on the protection and divine providence. And whereas the National Day of Prayer is a public law established in the United States Congress in 1952, approved by a joint resolution signed by President Truman and amended by Congress and President Reagan with Public Law 100-307 in 1988, affirming that it is essential for us to, as a nation, to pray. And it directs the President of the United States to set aside and proclaim the first Thursday of May annually as the National Day of Prayer. And whereas in our town and across America, the observance of National Day of Prayer will be held on Thursday, May 7th, 2026, with the theme, Glorify God Among the Nations, Seeking Him in All Generations, based on the verse in 1 Chronicles 16:24. Tell of His glory among the nations, His wonderful deeds among all peoples. And now therefore, on behalf of Teresa Batts, our mayor of the town of Surf City, we do hereby proclaim Thursday, May 7th, 2026 as a day of prayer, 2026, throughout our town. And we commend this observance to our citizens and request that prayers would be lifted up through our town with every generation seeking the Lord as we rededicate our lives, our city, and our nation to the glory of God. And our National Day of Prayer event is May 7th, like this states, and it's going to be in the park, Soundside Park at 9 a.m., and I hope that many people will attend from the town and pray together.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I will ask for adoption of the agenda.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as written.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Before we vote, I'd like to make a recommendation for a nominal change to the agenda. If, since I imagine many of the folks here are here to talk about the budget, and the council was thought ahead enough to put in a second comment section, that if we could move that section 14 to follow immediately after Mr. Brewer's presentation. That way, information will still be fresh in the minds of the folks, and we won't have visitor fatigue throughout the rest of the agenda, as important it may seem, and it is. If you would support that move, I would appreciate that. I think people in the audience might as well.
So we had a motion and a second. A motion to add.
Just to move section 14 to follow the budget discussion under old business.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do I have
Public comments,
to after?
public comments go behind the budget message.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion to adopt it as amended.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, so this time we have our first public comment.
Mr. Lair?
Before I start, I want to give Andy the Axeman credit for chopping a lot of the unnecessary costs off of this year's town budget.
Mr. Lear, could you please state your name and address?
Oh. Rich Lair, 581 Atkinson Point Road.
Okay, thank you.
Revenue neutral definition, the rate that produces the same revenue for the next fiscal year as the current tax rate would have produced if no revaluation had occurred. Tax rate stealth. Any rate higher than the one needed to fund the budget. Windfall tax, a rate significantly higher than the revenue neutral requirement. Property tax hikes, often caused by rising property values rather than increased spending, must be clearly identified. My property tax increases under the current formula will range from 46% higher than last year to 114% higher than last year. The town government claims that under revenue neutral, some will pay more, some will pay less, some will pay the same. I believe this is not germane for Surf City. The law of probability suggests that the vast majority of Surf City Island property owners where the median house value is $851,000 will see tax increases ranging from 30% to over 100% higher than last year. This follows a year when the property taxes already saw a 30% increase. How to calculate your tax? Take your new valuation, divide it by 100, multiply it by 0.30, the projected revenue neutral rate, the last I've heard. Subtract your last year's tax amount. So if you have a median priced house on Surf City Island, just your town taxes alone will be approximately over $2,500. Higher property taxes hurt a town already facing a shortage of workforce price housing. I keep my rents low so my people stay in my homes for years. However, if taxes go up dramatically, I will be forced to raise rents just to avoid losing money. Instead, Surf City should be subsidizing the rents of our underpaid town police, firefighters, town workers, and our school teachers. These hikes are what the House Select Committee on Property Tax Reduction and Reform advanced a proposal on April 15, 2026 to give the state legislature authority over local property tax increases. We have the right to be heard. Legislation already exists to keep our property taxes in check. Quote, before adopting a budget ordinance, the board shall hold public hearing at which time any persons who wish to be heard on the budget may appear. A public budget hearing should be a standalone item where a 3-minute limit is extended or waived. The law requires the board to hear the public. We need dialogue where citizens can question the town council and the town manager directly.
Thank you.
Mr. Vesthoff?
Richard Vesthoff, 2503 South Shore Drive. As of March, I've been here 8 years, and Florence was my hello, welcome to the beach, and thank you guys for all you do. I know that we have a unique situation where we live. There's a lot of challenges. Last year we saw a substantial tax increase using the 0.53 formulation. This year we're going to use either the 0.29 or the 3.0, and had the Pender County commissioners decided to hold the valuation to the prior years, I'm assuming that rate probably would have been around 0.56 or higher. So no matter how you do the numbers, no matter how you figure it out, our taxes are going up again this year. And I grew up in Southern California, and I grew up through the time where people were losing their homes due to tax increases. People with fixed incomes, people who are, retired, people who just don't have money to continue to keep up with the increases. And I would really, like to challenge the council to really sharpen the pencils, to really reevaluate, because myself, I'm semi-retired. My wife would like to retire in a couple of years, and we would like to plan on, living out our time here in Surf City, but with, increasing costs, that may or may not be possible, with what we pay on, I know that has nothing to do with you guys, but wind and hail, homeowners insurance, flood insurance, and now with property taxes to both Surf City and Pender County, I'm looking at $1,000 a month just in those expenses, not counting my house payment. So, I mean, we do have some really unique challenges here, and I love Surf City. I want to call it my forever home, and I just hope that you guys can keep that in mind when you're really putting all these numbers together. I know revenue neutral means you don't collect more than you spend, but it's like nonprofit organizations. They always say they don't make any money, but that's because they spend it all. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Dutton?
Hi, thanks for having me. 275 Atkinson Point Road. My name's Steve Dutton. Lately I feel a lot more like John Dutton in the TV series Yellowstone. For those who don't get the reference because you haven't seen the TV series, John Dutton is a property owner in Montana. He inherited it from his father and his father before him, and he spends his entire life just struggling to pay his property taxes so that he can keep the ranch. And he's protecting it from, get this, as if like art doesn't imitate life or life imitating art. The wealthy developers come into John Dutton's area around his ranch. They inflate all the property values, therefore the property taxes, to the point where he's forced to make a decision as to either sell it to the developers or lose it to a tax foreclosure. And I'm not multi-generational around here. I've only been here 20 years. But I know that there are people in this town that are multi-generational owners, probably some in this room. It breaks my heart that there's even a possibility that any of these people might be losing their ranch because they can't afford their property taxes. Even the late arrivals get a gut punch because they came here with a certain budget or income in mind. And, between insurance and now the taxes that could potentially double or more, or whatever the number is, there's a lot of people that just simply can't afford to keep their properties if this happens. It's exhausting to have to fight every single day just to keep the things we already own. And there's a lot of things I'd rather do than to be here like before the Great Oz, begging for some tax relief as a property owner in the community. It seems that property owners are always the go-to for more money when a municipality needs more, and they always seem to need more. So it's just the low-hanging fruit, and I'm concerned that, I'm thrilled everyone is here tonight, but I'm concerned that people, if they don't show up and make an appearance like this, the apathy gets them steamrolled, and we're going to start losing properties. So thank you for your consideration here. I think some action steps as we're forming this budget need to include budget cuts, austerity, whatever measures are needed to keep the property tax level at its current rate as a worst case scenario. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much.
Mr. West?
My copier broke, so I had to do this. I'm Doug West. I'm 918 Broadway Street. Most of you have probably seen me out at the bars and the restaurants and maybe on Facebook. I'm a beach bum most of the time. I love living here. I don't like paying the taxes. I think the budget can always be better. I see we saved several $100,000 or something this year. I think that's great. I think it can be better. While I am a beach bum now, my history is I actually had a respectable job one time, and for 38 years I was a federal bank examiner for Federal Reserve. And I went in community banks, I went in mid-level banks, I went in giant banks. And I saw how I started off in fiduciary, and then I moved into asset management, and then risk management, and then corporate governance. And I saw how they did things there. It was interesting between the large and the small banks is we could go into a mid-level bank or a large bank and tell them, hey, you know what, we think you can do it better. We've seen it done better other places. And they would take us seriously. They get a group together of their own people, or they go get outside experts and come in and say, how can we do this better? We ran into problems with community banks because community banks had always done it the way they did it. And it was hard for them to change because Grandma did it this way and Uncle Ted did it this way. And so they would fight us way more than State Street or J.P. Morgan Chase or Wells Fargo, and this little bank in Facein, North Carolina or something would fight us tooth and nail not to change simple things. And we said, well, the reason we're telling you this is we've seen 10 other banks do this. And therefore, we've seen them do it better. So there's ways to do these better, and we learned that bigger banks had better ways of doing that. Through this process, I looked at a lot of strategic plans, a lot of budgets, and I want to tell you, I did go through the strategic plan today, and I thought it was very well written. It was comparable to some of the best I've seen. It was thorough. It was forward thinking. It had a broadness to it that brought where we want to be. It was a Christmas wish list of where we want to be, which is good. It probably could have had more checks and balances in it. There was checks. There was audit teams. There was management reports. There was surveys. There was things like that to see how they were doing, that kind of thing. But again, I think that could be better. I know that as an examiner, as an examiner, we were finding experts ask those first, second, third, fourth questions. The fourth questions, you can always ask the first question. When you got smarter, you can ask the first question. That's why we get experts in. So, oh man, I talk fast and it's bad. Anyway, what I'm saying here is, I don't know if you do it, but I think at some point in time you should bring third parties in to look at the budget that are more experts than what you guys. You guys are good at what you do, but you're not experts in everything, and nor are any of us. People won't. Okay, anyway, yeah, there's independent firms, there's tax firms, there's municipal advisory firms, there's local government consultants, there's the accounting sectors like Crow and Berry. They have that literally come in and they seen other municipalities, and I think it wouldn't hurt. It's a cost, but I think you save money in the long run, and you might save more than $700,000. Thank you so much, people. Thank you.
Ms. Miranda?
I'm Jill Miranda, 1102 Terraces Lane. First off, I want to thank Andy for his hard work in cutting the budget where he can. He needs your guys' help to do more, and you need to do more. I came up here prepared to say something, but listening to these fine gentlemen speak, much more knowledgeable about numbers. So I want to implore you, as the council, to listen to your residents. When I talk to people around town, they're tired of this. They're tired of you turning your back, your little smiles, silence. They want to talk. They want conversation. They want to ask questions and have those questions answered. And they want to be able to stay here. And what looks like it's going to happen is the only people that are going to be able to afford homes in this town are investors. And investors are going to jack up the rents. Your businesses will suffer. Your workforce is going to suffer. You need to do something about workforce housing so these fine people that work for the city can live here. I don't know if you've been on I-17. It took me 90 minutes from Harris Teeter to Scotts Hill yesterday. I'm not driving that every day. I don't know where these people are living. They're not living here. They need to be able to live here. So tax incentives, encouraging homeowners to build ADUs, put some stipends in their paychecks to give them a place they can live, or the money so they can live here, and then keep the taxes lower. You don't need that much money. I read the budget. I read it back in 24. I read the new one. A lot of smoke and mirrors going on there, people. You need to cut the tax rate, or people are simply not going to be able to afford it. I'm new. My house is new. With the new evaluation, just my Surf City tax is going to go up $150 from last year when it went up $400. So my husband put off, between that and the insurance increases, my husband put off retiring. He'd love to retire, but he can't. I beseech you to hear the people. Hold town halls where people can ask questions of all of you and get answers. And if you don't have the answers, you go find them and come back and answer them. I beseech you to do that because people out here are tired. And I know that you can handle this. I know you got it in you. So, please. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for the public comments, and I think you'll, Kyle will be presenting the budget, and you will have, chances to ask questions, send your questions in, come in and ask questions of the budget. That is, once that budget is submitted, it stays in Town Hall and online for 30 days for public comments. So at this time, we will move on to the next item, which is the approval of consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries to approve the consent agenda. There are no public hearings on the agenda tonight, and under old business is Kyle Brewer that will be delivering the budget message.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council, and thank you for everybody who has attended the meeting. This is sort of an odd situation in which we find ourselves in. However, as I have reported previously, the town certainly is organized and is prepared to move forward with whatever variables get thrown our way in regards to property reappraisal processes, Senate bills that have been filed, et cetera. So I just wanted to preface that I will be presenting a budget message with two different scenarios. The first scenario is going to be based on both counties going through a revaluation process. The second scenario would be in light of a Senate bill that would pause revaluations statewide. It's not just Pender County, but there's 12 counties within the state that would be impacted. And there was an amendment that was filed this afternoon that only affects counties less than 15,000 people according to their last decennial census. So the budget itself will be published following this meeting. I literally had to rewrite the budget message this morning so that we could calculate and factor everything as accurate as we possibly can. A tax rate has not been published except for tonight. So numbers that have been thrown out have not been proposed by the town, and I felt like that was important to state. What was presented last month was a revenue-neutral tax rate that is required by state law to be published following a reval, and that revenue-neutral tax rate, according to the general statute, takes into account annualized growth within the county. And we use Onslow County because that is the most recent from 2022. So just wanted to make some points of clarification, and I hope to elaborate on those points throughout my message. So I'm going to start with the revision summary. Since the presentation of the manager's budget message and recommendations, actions by Pender County have affected the town's overall budget and recommended tax rate. The Pender County Board of Commissioners initially voted to suspend its revaluation process and revert taxable values to those established in January 25. The board subsequently revised its decision and elected to proceed with the revaluation using the adopted schedule of values. In response to this uncertainty, the Surf City Town Council rescinded its prior action accepting the manager's budget message and the associated revenue-neutral tax rate. As noted in the budget message presented on April 7, 2026, Onslow County is also undergoing a revaluation requiring the town of Surf City to calculate and present a revenue-neutral tax rate. This revised message includes updated calculations based on current information, as well as adjustments made between April and May. In addition to these local developments, the North Carolina State Senate introduced Senate Bill 889 on April 29, 2026, which would require all counties to use previously adopted values and suspend implementation of current revaluations. If enacted, this legislation would require both Pender and Onslow counties to revert to prior values. Accordingly, this revised budget message addresses both scenarios by presenting a revenue-neutral tax rate as required by state statute, as well as an alternative tax rate in the event the evaluation process does not proceed. In accordance with Section 159-11 of the North Carolina General Statutes, I'm pleased to present the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget for the town of Surf City for your review and consideration. This budget represents a sound financial plan aligned with the council's adopted goals and objectives. All sections comply with the North Carolina Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act as amended. A balanced or interim budget must be adopted by June 30, 2026, pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 159-12. A public hearing on the proposed budget will be held on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026, at 6 p.m. at the Surf City Municipal Complex. Notice will be properly advertised, and copies of the proposed budget will be made available to the public, including distribution to local media. The document will also be available on the town's website, in the office of the town clerk, and at the front lobby of the town hall. The proposed fiscal year 2026-27 budget is balanced and totals $40,700,755. Appropriations are allocated among the following funds: General Fund, $20,070,347. Capital Improvement Fund, $1,268,750. Accommodations Tax Fund, $3,006,609. The Water Enterprise Fund, $4,146,251. Sewer Enterprise Fund, $6,704,226. Stormwater Enterprise Fund, $541,157. And Beach Nourishment Fund, $4,963,415. The town's capital improvement plan is also presented as part of the budget adoption process, and I will go over that later within the budget message. Property taxes remain the town's largest revenue source, estimated at approximately $10.33 million, either $10,323,400 or $10,329,800, depending on the valuation scenario, representing about 51.5% of general fund revenues. Based on information provided by Pender and Onslow counties, the town is utilizing two potential tax-based scenarios: $4,026,342,419, which is scenario 1, or $2,157,908,315, which is scenario 2. Surf City is located in both Pender and Onslow counties, each of which has conducted a property revaluation for tax year 26. Following revaluation, North Carolina law again requires the calculation of a revenue-neutral tax rate. This rate generates the same amount of property tax revenue as the prior year, adjusted for natural growth, which reflects increases from new construction and improvements. It is important to note that the revenue-neutral rate is based on total assessed valuation, not individual properties. As a result, individual tax bills may increase or decrease depending on how a property's valuation change compares to the overall tax base. Scenario 1, and again, this is if both counties go through the revaluation process. The calculated revenue-neutral tax rate, as presented prior, is 30.27 cents. The recommended tax rate on that scenario is 26 cents per $100 of assessed valuation, a reduction from the current rate of 53 cents. Based on a 98.7% collection rate, this would generate approximately $10,323,400 in property tax revenue. Each 1 cent change in the tax rate yields approximately $397,400. For scenario 2, this is with no revaluation to occur. The recommended tax rate is 48.5 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. This is a reduction of 4.5 cents from the current rate. Based on a 98.7% collection rate, this would generate approximately $10,329,800 in property tax revenue. In that scenario, each cent change in the tax rate yields approximately $212,986. The second largest general fund revenue source is local sales tax, estimated at $3.6 million. Water and sewer operations are projected to generate $10,850,477 across the enterprise funds. Investment income is expected to remain relatively flat due to stable interest rates and market uncertainty. Other revenues, including telecommunications taxes, ABC distributions, and video programming taxes, are also projected to remain stable. Expenditures, Surf City continues to experience steady population growth, increasing from 3,894 in 2020 to an estimated 4,998 in 2024. This growth places additional demand on town services. The proposed budget provides for necessary personnel, equipment, supplies, and infrastructure to maintain service levels and support priority initiatives. Expenditure estimates were developed collaboratively by the budget officer and finance director based on departmental requests and supporting documentation. These requests were reviewed by council and incorporated into the budget workbook. Each request was evaluated against historical spending, operational needs, inflationary pressures, and service priorities. Revenue projections are based on guidance from the North Carolina League of Municipalities, county tax data, existing agreements, departmental estimates, and year-to-date performance. As in prior years, requested expenditures exceeded projected revenues, requiring prioritization. For fiscal year 26-27, requests exceeded available revenues by approximately $1,144,879. To maintain service levels without overextending the general fund, select capital expenditures will be funded through the Capital Reserve Fund. Additionally, the standard transfer of $317,081 to the Capital Improvement Fund has been eliminated to reduce current tax burden. Future contributions will be evaluated based on reserve levels and capital needs. Additional expenditure adjustments include reductions in overtime within police and fire, operational reductions across departments, and the deferral of select one-time purchases. Department heads submitted requests for 7 new positions. This includes 3 battalion chiefs, 3 firefighters, and 1 communications coordinator. The recommended budget includes funding for these positions based on strategic priorities and operational needs. The fire department positions will complete staffing for the ladder truck program, while the communications position will enhance internal and external engagement. A comparison of fiscal year 25-26 and recommended 26-27 personnel positions are demonstrated in Table 1 within the budget message, again reflecting each personnel count for every department, going from a total of 116 full-time positions to 122 full-time positions. Part-time positions are typically based on budget expenditures, not necessarily personnel, but however, those numbers remain consistent with a total part-time position count of 41, again, remaining consistent amongst the 2 fiscal years. The budget includes a 3.3% cost of living adjustment, merit-based pay adjustments, and retirement contributions. There's no change in major medical costs for the town, and contribution rates for the local government employees retirement system are set at 15.13% for general employees and 17.1% for law enforcement officers. Getting into general fund capital, the most significant capital investment is the acquisition of a ladder truck for fire department operations. Although delivery is anticipated in fiscal year 28-29, debt service is included in this budget. Key capital items include the fire department ladder truck, estimated at $2.7 million, with an annual debt service of $378,000, battalion chief vehicle at $75,000, police fleet replacement, 3 vehicles at $180,000, multi-use path funding at $500,000, Parks and Recreation transportation bus at $75,000, and the emergency management DSTR trailer at $80,000. Also, as captured within our strategic plan, as noted earlier, our key strategic initiatives for the fiscal year. Under growth and natural resources, this includes continued investment in beach nourishment with $4,963,415 allocated to the Beach Nourishment Fund. Funding sources include accommodations tax, property tax, and paid parking revenues. The fund balance is projected to reach approximately $34 million in preparation of the U.S. Army Corps Coastal Storm Risk Management Project. Growth and natural resources, the advancement of the Island Town Center Master Plan to support resilient infrastructure, environmental stewardship, and community-oriented redevelopment. Under infrastructure and transportation, we have a completion of a system-wide hydraulic model to evaluate capacity, pressure zones, and fire flow capabilities for our water system. Also under infrastructure and transportation, the advancement of priority multi-use path segments to improve connectivity between the mainland and island. Under organizational excellence, expansion of the town's communications capacity through additional staffing. Also, strategic planning and procurement of replacement fire apparatus. And then lastly, under safe, vibrant, and healthy community, completion of Phase 3 of the town's two-way radio system and deployment of the Deployable Strategic Technology Reserve Trailer, or the DSTR. In summary, the recommended budget reflects a disciplined financial strategy that balances service delivery, infrastructure investment, and long-term planning. I appreciate the mayor, the town council, department heads, finance director, and staff for their continued commitment to responsible fiscal management. Based on the scenarios presented, a tax rate of 26 cents is recommended under Scenario 1, which assumes property revaluations in both Onslow and Pender counties. And under Scenario 2, a tax rate of 48.5 cents is being recommended. I'm going to go through a couple of line items in regards to revenues and expenditures, just to point out. The town invests our monies into regular investment institutions. We have diversified that through multiple resources. Our longer-term investment strategy is being handled through First Citizens. We're estimating a revenue of $275,000 through that source. The current year taxes, as outlined, at $10,332,400. Our sales tax revenue projections are going from $2.86 million to $3.6 million. An attempt to offset reliance on property values. Another interest investment that we have being projected at $700,000. The 26 budget that was at $1 million. We might not meet our mark on that revenue projection from this current fiscal year. Moving on to some highlights for expenditures. Our transfer to capital reserve fund is set at $1,051,877. Contribution to Pender EMS and Fire. This is a $112,750 expenditure that will not be funded in this recommended budget, mainly due to the fact that the Pender County is taking over EMS services as opposed to this being handled through private contract. Getting into the governing body budget, this budget has been reduced by almost $20,000. Looking at year-to-year spending, as well as reducing some cost in regard to training and other minor cuts throughout the line items. The administrative budget, we are budgeting $74,000 in contracted services. This is covering a cost share with our enterprise fund for grant writing services, as well as a continuation of data analytics services. In total, that budget will increase by $4,000 from the 26 budget. Our IT budget has been reduced from last year by $70,000, looking at efficiencies, but also certain one-time expenditures may have been executed in the current fiscal year, so therefore are no longer needed next year. Our finance budget has gone up slightly from personnel and audit services. So again, the town financials are audited annually, and the increase in those audit services are based solely on requirements to do single audits when we receive federal grants. So anytime that we bring in money, we have to expend a little bit more for our auditing services. Our emergency management budget generally has remained flat, except for the position request and recommendation of funding that position, and then, of course, the other personnel costs that go along with that, 401k, health insurance, et cetera. As noted in the budget message, our workers' comp claim premiums, et cetera, will remain flat, as well as our health insurance costs. There's a slight increase in our legal costs due to some ongoing issues in which legal counsel has had to defend the town on certain suits that have been brought forward, as well as just our contractual retainer to have the legal services presented for the town. Our Public Works building, which is a separate department, has been reduced by $1,300. Our Facilities and Grounds department has been reduced. Those are operational costs and potential efficiencies that have been identified there. Our Police department has been reduced. This is mainly due to personnel reductions in overtime expenditures. And the way that we are doing that is we are reducing the overtime cost because typically we will have a salary lag at the end of a fiscal year. We cannot budget for less than full staffing, but it so happens that throughout the year we will not be full staff. So what the mechanics of that is that we will reduce the overtime and expend personnel costs into overtime as needed. Some operational reductions, and then we have delayed one-time investments or one-time costs, things for evidence incinerator, $30,000 for a shooting range, and some other minor operational costs. Our fire department is, according to the 26 budget and the current budget, appears to be generally the same, but that's been balanced out due to the increase in personnel and turnout gear that are requested for this year. And then what we've done is removed budgeted vehicles from the operational to the CIP. Again, taking on 3 additional battalion chiefs and 3 firefighters within the budget. Our community development department has seen a minor increase. This is due to the funding for the Island Town Center master plan. What we did was we looked at the cost of that, and spread that over 2 fiscal years so that we will anticipate spending 2/3 of that this year, and then 2/3 of that next year, and then the remaining 1/3 for the following fiscal year. Our Powell bill, which is revenues or expenditures tied directly to revenues that come from the state for maintaining roadways, has remained, or actually was reduced by $34,000. And then our sanitation budget remains consistent. Parks and Recreation budget has gone up slightly. That is due to one-time expenditures for new gym lights, as well as replacing the flooring within the gym. And then also increased expenditures in some of our athletic and wellness programs. But I just wanted to caveat that with the programs that we offer, there's obviously a direct revenue that's associated with that. And that essentially, I'm not going to get into the accommodations tax fund and the water and sewer funds this evening, just because those are, the accommodations tax is not property tax, not set by the tax rate. The expenditures are typically mandated by state statute, with 3% of our revenue going into our beach nourishment fund, and then the remaining 3% going to support tourism-related expenditures. For example, that's how the town funds its ocean rescue staff. That's how we fund beach patrol for police in the summer, maintain dune crossovers, et cetera. So with that being said, Madam Mayor, I just wanted to again reiterate that we have two different scenarios that are being presented here. Both being, the first one being less than the revenue neutral tax rate, and then the second one being a tax reduction from what was adopted last year. That the town council will hold a public hearing on June 2nd. We do have a work session that is scheduled for May 21st, in which is anticipated that will be another working session for the council to review budget, ask additional questions, provide additional guidance to staff. But we wanted to make sure that the budget message and the budget is able to be produced for the public to inspect and review. Because if we delay that, then people don't get to evaluate the line item by line item budget. So once again, this will be available. Again, we had it up last night on the website and had to take it down based on the actions of the county. So as quickly as we can, we will get this back on the website. This is under our finance tab, and then under fiscal year 26-27, should anybody want to review that. In addition, there's hard copies available in Town Hall. We're not printing hard copies for everybody, but if you do want to come and inspect a hard copy, please do. If you have specific budget questions, please, I'm happy to try to answer those. And if you want to email or call or set up a meeting or however we've got to accommodate that, we're more than happy to do so. So with that being said, Madam Mayor, I'll certainly take any questions that you have.
Does anyone have any questions? I was just asking.
She was just asking the board right now.
The board. We're not in a public hearing. We're going to have public comment, though.
Yeah.
No.
So at this time, we will move forward with back to public comment.
I know council's worked really hard, and I commend Mr. Brewer for presenting what was a really difficult situation in probably a very articulate manner, and I hope that was informative for you folks. We have, through Mr. Brewer, there have been some reductions made with the various line items, which were in response to input he's received from folks across the board. So I think we've made a good first step. There are a couple of questions I have, and I know I've shared them with Mr. Brewer, and it's probably something that we can discuss. I have an opinion that some of our accommodations tax fund, which now has somewhere around $6 million in it, give or take. I think we spent $665,000 for part of the multi-use path on the island. I think some of that money might be allocated back to some things. For example, I know there's a lot of concern about what we're paying for trash can rollback. And one of the criteria in using accommodations tax money, it has to support tourism, and it can't be used for routine expenses across the community. Well, rollback is not an expense across the community. It's an expense for island homes, and many of those island homes, of course, are rental homes which provide lodging and produce accommodation taxes because they're rented. And so the value inures to the benefit more to the tourists than it does the residents. Obviously, the aesthetic value of not having trash cans out in the middle of the road on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday kind of thing is a good thing for the entire community. But perhaps, and I calculated, we spend somewhere around $60,000, $70,000 a year for the rollback. And I ask, I guess, Mr. Chris Carter to figure out if that's accurate or not. But that might be something we could use accommodation tax money for on a recurring basis. So the communications van that is being requested by emergency management, I think it's a valuable addition to our preparedness and our ability to do disaster recovery. We have a disaster recovery preparedness fund. It was started prior to 2012. It has $775,000 in there, give or take, and it was created, but the money has never been used. So I'm curious that if disaster recovery and preparedness is a component and a part of that, would it be possible to take the $80,000 out of the general fund and use the money we've already put away for these kinds of activities? That's a question. And then the last one I have is regarding the acquisition of the fire truck. I think we all agreed, and I finally came around to Chief Wilson's point of view on this. It is a necessary addition, actually replacement, to ensure fire safety within our community. I agree. It's $2.7 million. There are a number of opportunities for us to fund the $2.7 million. We have not completely explored those. I have not seen any comparisons across the funding mechanisms. One of the initial ones was related to funding it by paying cash up front. $1 million next year, $1 million following year, and $1 million or so when we take delivery. And then we said, well, we could do some type of an installment payment, which is great, but right now we don't have a vendor. We don't have a contract for a vendor, and we really don't know what our installment contract might look like, or if we use a municipal-based lease purchase option, which changes the whole dynamic of how we pay for it. So to take $368,000 from this coming year's tax, your property tax, as a prepayment payment or some kind of debt service, I think is premature until we have a clarity about what our cash flow needs will be and when those cash flow needs will hit. And I think that's something that between now and when we adopt the budget, we as a council and with the help of Ms. Moore and Mr. Brewer can maybe have some options of how to do this and maybe get a better idea as the financially most prudent way to finance our truck. So those are some of the things that I've looked at, some of the things that I would like us to consider in the next 2 weeks or at the workshop. So with that, I'll stop talking, and if anyone else on council has any comments or...
I think we have gone over those several times. I appreciate your comments again, Andy, and look forward to hearing other public comments tonight. If now is the time that it got moved up in the agenda. If there are any public comments, yes, sir, please come up and state your name and your address.
Albert Almeida, 105 Loomis Court. I just wanted some clarification with this rollback that I'm not familiar with. You mentioned something 60,000. What is this rollback program?
The trash cart rollback program was
We're gonna, if you don't mind.
This is public comment. We will take this up.
I'm sorry.
This is not open. This is
We
not
will get you information on it, though, if you.
Okay. Well, if we're paying for that, I'm not aware if I'm not sure if we're paying for that program or not. But if we are paying for that program, and the investors are renting out their beachfront homes, probably making thousands of dollars on these rentals, which I'm not aware. I'm not familiar with this program. But I sure hope that we taxpayers are not paying for a program where the homeowner or the investor or the property owner could fund that bill. They could either get a property manager or force their tenants to bring in those trash cans. We shouldn't be funding that program.
Just so you know, it is a huge safety issue on South Shore Drive, especially when someone is trying to get off the island, like during an EMS or a fire call or a police call. That's one reason why it was put into an active position.
Yes,
also,
and I understand that, and I apologize for interrupting, but I understand that. But the property owner should be at least refunding or picking up that.
It's not just property owners for rentals. It's permanent citizens like myself and other people. You know, in the neighborhood that I live in, there's 2 people that rent, the rest of them are full-time. So it's, you know, it's not just the renters that are going to get money from the property owner to foot that bill. It's for permanent residents as well.
So then the entire Surf City tenant, residents are footing that bill?
I'm not familiar
It's
with
not
that.
paid with property tax. Just for clarification, property taxes are not used for that fee. That fee comes out of solid waste, your garbage can fee. Your trash fee is overall. Not that it didn't.
Thank you, but we will get you some additional information.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes, sir.
Workshop.
Thank you. Yes, please come up and state your name and address.
Mr. McCusker, and I live at 1016 South Topsail Drive, and I am a resident, and we live here full-time. Thank you very much for the identification of that. I asked for clarification just to make sure that we're clear that scenario 1 and scenario 2, that the 26 cents is for the 2025 property value, and the scenario 2 is for the, if will be held, the 2026 property value.
No, sir, switched around.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
yep.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
The second conversation is, we know you all have no control over what the state does. And we understand that process. Two or three other gentlemen have identified the impact of neutral revenue. But I would hope that you all, as key personnel, and I know you did your job and your divisions identified what they want versus what they need, and that then the rest of the council have to go back and say what is a true need for the running of this town. Not a nice to have, but a critical need to have. And things like multi-use pathway, air-conditioned buses, and other line items, you really have to look at, is it critical to the running of this town and day-to-day for the residents? So I would ask you to really tighten your belt, as all businesses have to do and as all homeowners have to do every year, to make sure that we can pay our bills and not be in the red. So, but you really need to look at what is critical to this town to run its business for safety and not nice to have. So I thank you very much. I hold you all to it as senior leadership to take sure you take care of us as your constituents. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Yes, Mr. Rich?
Sorry about that. 2503 South Shore Drive, Richard Bessop, I was up here earlier. I just have a question, and I did ask one of the people on the pending counter board about this. It's a very unique situation here. I've never done this before, but I pay taxes to Surf City, and I also pay taxes to Pender County. And of course, Pender County gets a substantial amount more than you guys do. And with that money that we're sending to Pender County, does Pender County actually send us back any of that to help with running the city? Or, what goes on with that money? Because if we're not getting anything for the money that I'm sending out to Pender County, and when I go out to Burgon to pay my taxes, I'm just wondering what it is exactly they do for us. So if there's something on the...
Pender County collects their county tax, and then Surf City collects theirs. So you don't send it to us, and us send it to the county.
No, what I'm saying is
the county does...
The money we're sending out to Pender
Yes.
County, does Surf City receive anything back from the county to help with us, with our emergency services and various other things, or does it just go out to Burgon?
I can answer it. So there's one very clear revenue which the town receives from Pender County, and that's been a consistent $180,000, and they deliver that to the town to help fund beach nourishment.
So other than that, we're not getting anything.
Outside of that, the EMS service, but you're paying an EMS fee for that. But the county is not delivering to the municipality any additional revenues that are not already realized by the municipality, which is why we have a separate taxing authority.
Well, like I said, I just was wondering what
Sure.
it is Pender County actually does for me.
I have better questions suited for the county.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
They spend 40% of their money on schools, so I guess that's something we get back, right?
There, same house. 581 Atkinson Point. First of all, on the fire engine, I thought that was interesting. From 1970 to 1980, the dollar depreciated by 75%. I'm seeing this again in my own finances. I'm adjusting them to a dollar that's going to be worth less. I'm having a hard time understanding why we would be paying for something now that we're not going to get for a few years. I think it would be great to get the price solid, if that, but pay at that time, and we'll be paying with dollars that are worth less. That's how the federal government runs it. The other thing is, I would like to know how you came up with the, I'm guessing, Kyle, did you already do a revenue neutral budget? Do you have that copy of that?
The revenue neutral, it would simply be the tax rate applied to the total value. So you could simply calculate 30.27 cents applied to the total value of all properties within the town. That would give you the total revenue in which that would generate. We did not develop this budget based on a revenue neutral tax rate. We base the tax rate on what is needed to, or what is desired to run this city.
So you have the aggregate of the total values of the properties. Yeah, I'd love to see a copy of that.
The county tax offices deliver that to the town. So when they go through the full revaluation process.
Wait, so you do not have a copy of it, or you do?
They provide us the numbers,
So
yes.
do you have the numbers now?
Not off the top of my head.
Then
but-
how are you able to come up with that .3027?
That's based on a state-adopted formula in which the value is provided. I mean, again, I could pull up you can call me, I'll pull up the spreadsheet, and we can go through it line item by line item.
Yeah, I'm very interested.
Please
in
call
that.
me tomorrow, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Goddard. I live at 9016 West 9th Street. I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank Andy, and I want to thank Trudy. They did respond to an email that I sent out to the mayor and the board, except for Mr. Cannady. I messed up your email address. I did not receive answers from anyone else regarding my desire to understand why the rates and our taxes were so high. So first of all, thank you three for your transparency. Second, I want to say that I do believe we need a town hall meeting because citizens have questions and they need answers. If it cannot be inserted into this process, it must certainly be inserted into next year's. A public forum comments of 3 minutes is not acceptable for the thousands of people who live here. I want to state my most important point that I want to make is that I have a underlying problem with the basic assumption on this budget, and I speak as a CPA for over 40 years at small $30 to $300 million companies. What we've tried to do, I've heard several times, is revenue neutral. So I'm sorry, we here and the citizens of this town do not want a revenue neutral budget. We just had a 30% increase. We want a budget that was less than this year's. So revenue neutral means you have failed us from the beginning.
And you realize we went below revenue neutral, right?
Well, that was the goal. Now, where you are now, and my point is, my next point that I was going to say is that items that Mr. Pleil, Andy has brought up were significant, and the folks that I am sitting with, I'm hearing murmurs, because we're supposed to be quiet, murmurs on agreement to like, wow, that makes sense. Again, this is another reason for a town meeting where we can have questions and answers. And the last thing that I wanted to say, and I am reiterating what some of the distinguished citizens before me have said, is that we really want critical expenses. And when you're asking residents to pay for what might, on the margin, increase tourism by a path or other things, we become very skeptical. I thank you for your time.
My kids are going to hate me right now. Do I hit a button or hello? Okay. Jody Keenan, 315 North Shore Drive. So I was here for the first budget meeting. Looked at Kyle's voice just put you to sleep. Sorry. You had a ton of slides. And this time, the thing, you didn't have any slides. I think you sat up here and I think you had a hoarse voice. You needed some water. So we've been through North Shore Drive and all you're doing with the water. And then I asked for, I think I was only one of 4 people here, put my name down to get, notified, just spray paint on my driveway. Anyway, lots of stuff there. But I would love this when you talked for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Know your audience. Kind of dumb it down. Give us like 4 slides, like hot hits. I don't know if you have to do all that to say it, maybe. But it's kind of like quick hits. I work in the corporate world. Trust me. Like 2, 3, 4 slides, and then after that, you lose people. And you talked a lot, and you said a lot of things. I think if you could just like kind of concise that a little bit, so the audience will take in what's really important, and then you said it all, which is fine. But yeah, just like a quick hot hit, so everybody kind of gets it, because I almost was lulled to sleep. Maybe you have to say all those things and you have to go through it, but I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Doug Biet from 103 Blue Water Lane. I was here at the last work session, and just 2 requests. One is to advocate again for what a lot of people are saying, to have some open town meetings on these topics, just so people can express their thoughts and their concerns, but equally hear back in real time as opposed to getting it through social media. But the other question I really would like to hear an answer to is the treatment of the reserves. As I mentioned last time, they seem not only very ample, but actually growing year on year. And it seems like a chance to give the residents some tax relief if we can at least, if not tap into them, at least suspend the growth on those reserves. And I didn't hear anything about that since that meeting.
Any other comments? No? All right, well, hearing none, so again, your voice is heard. We hear it. You'll have the next 30 days?
I just wanted to speak whenever, I don't know.
Is it 30 days, Kyle?
It is just less than 30 days. June 2nd is the public hearing for scheduled. But again, we'll be meeting in 2 weeks, May 21, for a work session. There's always public comment there. And then, of course, staff is always available to anybody who wants to reach out for specific questions, and we get into detail and maybe a little bit more fun time. I don't know.
Can you give us the format? If you can come up to and state your name and address.
Kim Miller, 1116 Sapphire Avenue. Can you give us the format so that we know when we arrive what we're going to be allowed to do? Because just putting questions out and not getting answers is the frustration, I think, that we all feel. What kind of forum, Matt, is it going to be when we have the open? That's all I'm asking. What's the forum? Will it be a question and answer, or will it be you talk, we ask questions, and we don't get answers, we have to come back or circle around to get the answers? That's all we're
A
asking.
public hearing is a formal process that people provide comments back to the board for them to consider. If there's additional,
Between now and then, you have every opportunity.
When can we have a back and
And you can email every day, 24 hours a day.
When can we back and forth?
You
That's
can
all
set up a
we're
time
asking.
tomorrow.
Pardon me?
Set up a time tomorrow or the next day.
I have a question that this lady might have and that man might have, and if we could get one answer, then we'd all get the answer at one time. That's all we're asking for, a back and forth. We ask Kyle a question, we ask Teresa a question, we get the answer, and then we walk away and we understand better. We might not agree, but we walk away with the answer, all of us, because her question and my question and that person's question might all be the same instead
Absolutely.
of having 45 conversations. Just open it up, let us ask what we want to ask, and then you give us Kyle gives us the answer. That's all we're asking.
Thank you. Trudy, you had a comment?
I did. I just really, I make a lot of notes, and I appreciate all the comments. We did provide two times of comments for our meeting tonight, and we're going to continue to do that if that's utilized, and tonight it was, so thank you. And I just want to say a lot of the things I heard were, let's just figure out what spending is absolutely necessary, and I get that, I do. My job is one of my jobs is to analyze that and get my own information together and have my understanding, just like you are too. So, there are some of the items that continue to come up, and that's certainly the ones that I hit first when I'm going out and talking to our departments and trying to make sure I can understand it and explain it to you. And I do meet with a lot of y'all. I get phone calls, text messages, and emails that I work really hard to respond to. And I did want to comment about the ladder truck, and I know there's different ways to finance it or pay for it in some case. It also isn't something you just go and pick out. Like, we get to customize this. It takes forever. It takes months, like a year, to actually detail like what we want on it that suits our firefighters' needs. So just because we're paying for it now doesn't mean we're paying for it now, because we're asking them to get started on it and actually start building it for us to meet our needs. And I learned that. And I also, our current ladder truck is in the shop more days than it's actually available to use. So I think that's valuable information to know. This is not a really fun expense for us either, but it's necessary. I mean, I hope it's got lots of great bells and whistles when it's done, but I mean, I do feel like we're working to also order a truck that has bells and whistles that we need and not pay for something we don't need that is equipped on that truck. So the process of that is quite interesting, and I have a lot of faith in it. And I want a ladder truck. My house is not just one story, and I need that to come to my neighborhood. We had a big fire in my neighborhood last summer, and it was quite scary. And so ladder trucks are completely important to this community, and our neighboring towns don't have one. So I want to see Surf City continue to have one, but I want one that works. So that's one comment.
Like you said, Trudy, it's not something you just pick on a lot, like you go to
No.
Chevy dealer and buy a thing of.
I'm concerned. Yeah.
It's a committee that's formed by firefighters to do the best they can for what they're going to need. So it's a design thing where the company that bills it has to go and listen to the design and do it. So it doesn't take a month, 2 months, 3 months. It could take almost a year, maybe more.
And I'm concerned, there's so many things that I know a town hall meeting would help, and communication is extremely important. That's what we all talk about so much. That was the thing that came up continuously in our planning meeting. It is challenging this day and time to communicate with everybody. We do so much with social media. There's a lot of people who don't use social media, and I think that's great, but they're missing a lot of information, and I can't call them all. And we just think about the avenues that we should or could or need to use. It's really a challenge. We have a public information officer. I think she does a great job. She posts out there very proactively. I'm not sure people are always seeing those and reading those. There's information on the website. I know it might be a little challenging to find, but it's always there. And anyway, but just lots of things that I think are worth some things. There's lots of things worth mentioning. I did mention fire truck. I don't want to act like I am totally stuck on fire ladder trucks. But we have increased our ocean rescue team over the past few years, and that has been some expense. But we're looking out for the safety of everyone, and we don't have the lifeguard stands, and this was the avenue that we chose to do in Surf City, and I think it's been. Just stop one of the ocean rescue guys out there, or girls. There's some really amazing girls. Sorry, and ask them what. I mean, you might just see them riding up and down there. They're on calls constantly, especially on our rough tide days. So they're working hard, and so I'm thankful for that program. I also another thing to mention is that. The police hours, we've had more and more incidents around in our town, and I love that we don't get the publicity about that. I don't want everybody to think Surf City is not safe or whatever, but there are things that happen. And then our police officers have to spend more and more time going back and forth to the courthouse in Burgaw, and because our population has increased. And so there's just things that just to continue to increase, and it can't be changed, and it still is necessary. We had graffiti on the water tower. Someone had to clean that. And you guys, the bathrooms over at the main beach access, they're a challenge. To the damage done to those facilities really hurts my heart. And that's not where I hang out, but that's what's part of my community and what happens. I go to my bathroom. I don't go to those bathrooms. But, it's very upsetting to find out the amount of damage done to those facilities on a regular basis. And then our ABC income has not been as vibrant as it was, and that funding that came from us from ABC purchases, because they built a major warehouse in Burgaw, a major store in Burgaw, and they're going to pay for that before they send us excess money. So we've lost that income for a while. There's just so many pieces and parts to this. I just wanted to share a few that we spend a lot of time discussing, a great amount of time. It's just complex. The book is thick. So, and then, with someone mentioned an air-conditioned bus or whatever. I mean, the bus, again, we have a ladder truck that's sitting in the shop most of the time. We have a Surf City recreation bus that goes, picks the kids up from school and brings them to the after-school program, and it's in the shop a lot, too. It's not a good bus. I would love you to go over to the community center and actually go check it out, because I don't want to drive it or ride it. So, anyway, sorry.
So at this time, again, we're going to have the next, how many days, Kyle Brewer? 20, huh?
Till when?
Till
Public hearing? I don't know off the top of my head, but June 2nd, it's May 5th.
So from then, you'll have from now until then to look at the budget, to ask questions about the budget, email, come in, make an appointment, see us, email all of us, ask us questions. We're going to try to answer your questions as we take them. We are held by state law. The LGC tells us how to do things. We did an audit last year. We do an audit, third-party audit every year. You should be happy that your city is healthy, that your city does prepare for the future. It doesn't sit back and wait for a disaster to happen and then figure out how we're going to pay for it. We're preparing to take care of our beaches, to protect your home, to protect the roads, to protect the infrastructure, to protect our tourism avenue, for people to want to continue to have a place to come. There are so many items that were, before it even made it to this town council, that Kyle and the finance department cut from this budget before it even came before us. And then when it came before us, there were items. We started working on this back in, I think the department started working on it back in December. We listened to different scenarios through budget seasons, and I appreciate I think it was Miss Cannon that said about not understanding, and maybe just that getting into a tone, but we try both scenarios of presenting something to you to where we do dumb it down, and then we get criticized for showing a chart to where 1 cent equals this, or the tax rate equals this, and then we get criticized for it. And so we try to present a formalized budget without any, and I won't say you won't ever see any graphs, but just want to let you know of the criticism that we give for trying to, what you say, dumb it down, because we don't want people to think that we have to go and, but we're willing to give, yeah, but we're willing to show graphs if someone wants to see graphs, or you know, it does get dry when you're talking numbers, and you know, a lot of times my voice will, even after I think I've been talking all day about numbers as well as everybody else, so I feel hoarse myself this afternoon. But I want to let you know that all of us have put a mass amount of time into this, and we will continue to do so until the budget gets approved. So if there are nothing else to say, you don't need a motion on this, Kyle?
No, ma'am.
So it is general consensus that we move forward with our presentation on scenario 1 and scenario 2. And we're going to move on to our next order of business, which is new business, and it is item number 2, temporary road agreement, and David Price.
I can probably just go ahead and knock this out real quick. So we have an active stormwater project going on, grant funded on Mecklenburg Avenue and North Topsail Drive. The scope of the project requires the full closure of the intersection at Mecklenburg and North Topsail. The property owner on the southeast corner at 1014 has graciously agreed to allow the town to utilize a portion of their front yard for folks to get through there. So what he has come back after signing the agreement is requested some monetary compensation for that. If we were aware of that, we would have factored that in the initial cost. The compensation requested is $5,000 for the duration of the project. It's about a 60-day project. We will utilize funds derived from the stormwater fund to be able to pay for this. I think it is certainly appropriate. It would be akin to a temporary construction easement if the town were undergoing construction along the right-of-way and needed to use somebody's property in order to do the utility project. So that is in essence, the item that is being requested. I did not want to expend funds without council agreeing to this proposal, but again, I recommend that council approve this.
Does anyone have any questions?
Motion or consent?
This is going to be a request for action, so I do need a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mayor.
I have a motion to consider the approval of the agreement as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is item number 3, subsurface phase 2, and David Price will present.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Before you is a resolution of a tentative award for the subsurface project is going underneath the new multi-use path planned later in the year. I apologize, the dates lost me. But this is the first phase of a three-phase project to add 400,000 gallons a day of wastewater capacity to our system. It did come in under budget at $12 million. This will be paid for out of the $19.7 million appropriation we received in 2024. Should the council accept this or pass this tentative award, it will go to DWI for approval, and we're hoping to get under construction soon.
All right, so it is requested that the town council consider approval of this project as presented by David Price.
Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve this as presented by Mr. Price.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a discussion?
Yes, sir.
I have two questions, short ones. One, this is predicated on the scalping plant as well, right?
Yeah, that's the third phase of the 3 phases.
Right, okay. So we don't have any clarity exactly where that's going to be just yet.
We have some clarity. I don't know the procedure here, Mr. Brewer.
Yeah, so the scalping plant to be located on a tract adjacent to J.H. Batts Road and in very close proximity to the subsurface project.
Okay, so that's, I know we've talked about this previously, so that's
Yes.
set. That's good, because doing that without having the scalping plant kind of cart before horse, that's great. I did note that in the proposals or the responses to the RFP, there was a pretty big variance in the cost estimates, and 3 of the proposals were generally in the 15, 16, 19 million range, and this one came in at 12. Are you confident, though, that the deliverables will be identical or
Yeah.
similar enough that?
Yeah, we looked very hard at that bid for this reason. It came in, I believe it was 18 million and 24 million with the other 2. There was some discrepancies in the 24 million in the way they were counting the soil. What it came down to is the sourcing of the soil, the transitivity of the soil that needs to be brought in, not to get into too much detail. This particular contractor who won has already built this for us before, and he's built it all over the East Coast, so this is his specialty. Therefore, it drives down the cost.
So his estimate is fairly accurate with regard to what his costs are, because he has prior knowledge. I know that he's done work for us before, and certainly the work that's done has met our expectations. So I was just
exceeded, yes, sir.
It was a question. It wasn't a criticism.
Yes, sir.
And I'll just take the opportunity, Madam Mayor, if I can. We did receive the soils testing from the third-party testing agency on that piece for the scalping station, and things are looking good, so that's been sent over to legal counsel to progress in that process. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
There is no further discussion. I had a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
David. Item number 4 is the cross-access easement on Goldsboro Avenue, and Kyle will present.
Yes, thank you again, Madam Mayor and Council. This is a follow-up to an item that we discussed at a work session, I want to say 2 months ago. This has to do with property owned by the town of Surf City along Goldsboro Avenue on the west side of North New River Drive. And the agreement is for a cross-access easement with the adjacent property that is undergoing construction for a new restaurant use on that property. Throughout the development process, the town worked closely with the applicant, and specifically in regard to fire apparatus access and the ability to service that new restaurant use. Options presented were an additional driveway being located on North New River Drive, a hammerhead turnaround, or a partnership with the town to provide that cross-access. The third option was elected to explore and move forward with. We have negotiated a cost for that cross-access easement in the amount of $191,000 for the perpetual use, but also to adding in cost escalation and maintenance responsibilities, financial maintenance responsibilities of that portion of the cross-access easement. As a result of this, the town has, as communicated, has proposed a grant application with the Division of Coastal Management for a public access grant to provide an additional boardwalk, canoe and kayak launch, and parking on the town-owned property. and we would utilize this funding for a cash match for that grant, which increases our favorability for potentially being awarded that grant. So the easement language itself has been reviewed between legal counsel on both sides of the agreeing parties. There's also the HOA as a party to the agreement. They're not held liable for any financial responsibilities, but the easement itself has been reviewed, again, by both legal counsels and agreed upon, so we do have a final version or iteration without substantial changes from what is presented to you in your packet. So happy to answer any questions the board may have on this, but again, a payment for the cross-access easement for it.
Sir. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a quick question for you, Mr. Brewer. There's about a $200,000 payment in there for constructing a boardwalk along the remaining part of the property. That's about 50% of the anticipated cost. The other 50% is coming from grant money or from?
Yeah,
Okay.
so from grant money, yep.
How does that impact on the kayak launch concept? Is that component of that, or the kayak separate?
All the other elements would be included in the grant proposal. The actual floating kayak launch would come from the town as another addition to the cash match for the grant. So it's about a $10,000 expenditure that we would make to provide that access.
All right, so at the end of the day, what we're going to have, hopefully, is a boardwalk, which we've paid for by grant money and through this fee.
Yes, sir.
Plus a kayak launch that will have a nominal cost, plus the additional 27 parking spaces, give or
Depends on
take.
final design, but that's a good estimate, yep.
Yeah, and he gets, or the residents get easier access to the restaurant to improve public safety. I think, all in all, I think you cut us a pretty good deal.
Thank you very much. And just, again, as an update, that grant application was submitted prior to the grant deadline. We will hear back by the deadline of July 31st, hopefully a little bit sooner. With that notification would then trigger a request for final application, which we understand that's we're going to receive the funds for it, and we will hold a public meeting between that process. So if anybody wants to come and talk about the project, we will certainly do that. But that's, again, down the road.
So it is requested that the town council consider approval of the easement as presented. Do I have a motion to do so?
I'll make a motion to do so, Mayor.
Second. Yes, Alicia seconding.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is the Neville Albury Park Playground Equipment, and Frank Sedata.
Thanks for sticking with us, Frank.
Oh, yeah. Mayor and Council, I'm just proposing the repairs at Nelva Albury Park. The 5 to 12 structure has been shut down for quite some time. I have a quote from from our dealer, which is Game Time, and Cunningham Recreation for the $47,000. Sorry, I'll get you the total. The $47,000. Basically, working with F&G, we've determined that it is in our best interest to outsource this work. It is extensive work that needs to be done, and the timeline provided from Game Time is approximately 6 to 8 weeks if we're able to go ahead and get under contract tomorrow. Again, noting the timing of this and noting the urgency in which we want to act, I think it's our best bet. So requesting sole source since it's over the $30,000 threshold.
So the funding is in place in the current budget year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, and right now it's still closed, I imagine?
That is correct.
Because of the issue of safety and, okay.
Yes.
So.
I'm out of the Kids in Parks game. Is this a very active park? I mean, okay, just want to make sure I didn't want to.
This is the park we just
This one, it
fenced.
was sitting stale and it was near the ocean and
This is the
stale.
park we
yeah,
just
right.
fenced in.
Okay, Yeah. Yeah, I know which
It
one
gets
it was.
an increase of users during the summer season. but yes,
It's located at Beach Access 5, where there are restroom facilities, showers, parking, accessible by walking by many residents and tourists. So yes, high use.
It is requested that town council consider the approval of the plan as presented.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
I wanted to. I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Next up is Melissa Moore, our Finance Director for Delinquent Taxes Lien Advertisement.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. As of May 1st of 2026, the outstanding principal balances on delinquent property taxes to advertise was $215,109.51. The General Statute 105-369A requires the governing body to charge the tax collector with advertising the tax liens information in the local newspaper. As of May 5th, today about 4:30, the number had been updated to $211,103.67. We respectfully request that council charge the tax collector with advertising the delinquent taxpayer listing in the Pender Post and Jacksonville Daily News.
It is requested that the town council consider approval of the advertisement as presented.
I'll make that motion. I'm motion happy tonight.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Moving on to Cal Brewer's manager's report. If you have anything left in you.
Hear from me again, I guess. Have several items on the manager's report. There's obviously a ton going on all the time within Surf City, so I try to select some high-level things. Did not make it into the written report, however, just wanted to notate for those here. We had two major water disruptions today generated through a third-party contractor, had no responsibility of the town. However, I always commend town staff for their expeditious response to these issues. Crews are on it and equipment is there, and they really get that stuff restored as quickly as possible. So we apologize for any inconvenience or disruption of service, but that should be good, and we'll follow any state guidelines necessary as a follow-up to that. First thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was the North Carolina Department of Transportation ramp meter traffic signal. So beginning tomorrow, NCDOT will be placing a temporary signal as you approach the island roundabout from the mainland. The purpose of the project is to assist in allowing traffic to enter the roundabout from the north and south by stopping traffic for a short duration of time. The town will work alongside of NCDOT to monitor the installation and effectiveness of the temporary implementation, and will follow up with a detailed report back to council and residents. The town has identified limits to indicate failure and potential success. This is a pilot project only and has been set to last 2 weeks, which will only be longer if determined to show success. So just real quick, it's very abnormal to have a traffic light that is metering a roundabout. It is also seemingly a major concern for traffic from the south to enter that roundabout in heavy traffic times. So DOT is deploying this concept to Surf City to try and help alleviate that congestion. I will let you know that beginning on Saturday, the town will formulate and come together as our own incident management team to monitor this event. Our police department have reporting stations in which they will be reporting back on the hour as to where traffic is backed up to. We will deploy technology, as the chief had highlighted earlier, to try and effectively gauge timing for vehicles that are entering Surf City and then arrive to the traffic circle. The failures of this are going to be dependent on the backup, as indicated from the S-curve on South Shore, Shell on North New River, Northern Pintail Place on 210, and Shepherd's Road on NC 50. We probably, will continue to see backups. We're also going to put a drone in the air to evaluate any gaps in the network. So we can then communicate back to NCDOT about light synchronization. They did communicate with us that they are doing another light study this summer in order to affect potential change. So I understand there's a ton of skepticism out there about this project. DOT understands that. I think that DOT is making a good faith effort and able to deploy this. But as we have indicated to the state, if we see failure in this, they will give us a key to it. We will bring it down and take it off of the bridge, because the last thing we want is to make any issues that much worse. As a reminder, this is also part of a island roundabout feasibility study in which DOT presented back to the town several months ago with potential longer-term options. One of those scenarios included removing pedestrians from the roundabout. I think that they've, okay. So what the removal of the pedestrians from the roundabout is that causes just another delay for vehicles to get through the roundabout. So we have set up temporary detours to, again, try to measure any sort of success or effectiveness of the program.
You're talking about the crosswalks.
The crosswalks, yes. Just wanted to touch on the Waterline Resilience Project. Took note of communication to make sure that we're communicating back to our residents as promised at the public meeting. Thank you for showing up to that public meeting. Contractors will begin working on that next week, starting on the north side of that. We're asking that if you have anything in the right-of-way, please remove it, as contractors will not be able to relocate or save landscaping, hardscaping, things that tend to grow within the public right-of-way over the years. So just wanted to make that announcement. The Mecklenburg and North Topsail Stormwater Project. This project was delayed a week due to some logistical issues in regards to bus transportation, mail delivery, et cetera, you name it. It was thrown at Price and his crew. But those items have been worked out and continue to be addressed, and any issues that come up. That project did start last week. Excavation has begun to install the paver system. As discussed earlier this evening, the alternative travel patterns are in place, and the temporary roadway for access has been installed. So we look forward to the contractor moving that project forward as quickly as they possibly can. I want to touch on the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Coastal Storm Risk Management Project. So as part of the Topsail Island Shoreline Protection Commission, which is made up of all three island towns in both Pender and Onslow County, we did travel to Washington, D.C. April 20th and 21st, and then travel back on the 23rd to meet with federal legislators and key officials, specifically to emphasize the importance of the Surf City project. We had productive meetings with Congressman Rouser, Dr. Murphy's office, Senator Budd's office, the Army Corps of Engineers, Civil Works, and the Office of Management and Budget. The project justification is awaiting the Office of Management and Budget's approval through the issuance of their consistency statement, which will then direct funds to move back to construction, and the district can then finish items on their end, such as final design and expectation of a project partnership agreement is forthcoming. The town will then seek any remaining easements necessary so the project can be sent out to bid. And to try to summarize that, we are in the short rows of this project in order to get to construction. Office of Management and Budget works directly under the administration, so consistency with the administration's priorities is necessary to move those monies that were already obligated in Disaster Recovery Act 2019 back to construction. So They were already in construction. We lost a partner in this project, and then it had to be reverted back into investigations. It's the bureaucracy of the Army Corps that is, we have seemingly dissected over the last couple of years to understand where things are at. Our plea to Office of Management and Budget, they don't know Surf City from any other town in this country. So our plea was that our finances are in order. Our Beach Nourishment Fund is prepared to take on our local cost share of this project. The easements are almost 90% obtained voluntarily from oceanfront property owners, signifying the willingness and readiness of the town to execute. And we hope that message was received well. They asked questions of us, which indicates their at least somewhat level of interest. And we do hope to hear something back with them in the coming weeks so that we can make an announcement to the community. But as soon as we know, we will let everybody know where that is. And I won't harp on this, but just wanted to, last month we were talking to the board about grant submittal preparation for the CAMA Public Access Grant, but I did put it in my report, let you know that did get submitted. A very thorough and detailed grant application, in my humble opinion. Staff, assists in putting things together. I think what the real element of this project that this town is missing is safe access to the water or safe waters to access from canoe and kayak, is our only other canoe and kayak launches in Soundside Park. And that's literally like going onto the interstate on a kayak. So it's a very difficult thing if you're a novice. So we do hope to provide additional access into the backwaters where it's a safer activity for all. And then lastly, I did want to note, typically I don't discuss a whole lot about outside special events, but Ocean Fest this past weekend, even though the not so pleasant weather was seemingly a success, and I wanted to publicly recognize their team, particularly for selecting the town of Surf City as a grant recipient. They graciously donated $10,000 to the town to go towards the installation of water-conscious public beach access showers that will be installed at the Roland Avenue Beach Access. And they want to be long-term partners in sustainability projects with the town. So just wanted to communicate that with the board and the public of the sort of community partnership that we have with Ocean Fest. As demonstrated with their willingness to give back to the community. So with that, Madam Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions about things ongoing, et cetera, at this time.
Anyone have any questions for Cal? If not, we'll move on to the attorney, Mr. DeSelms.
Real quick, I just want to make sure, I know the board knows this, but for the public's sake, the revenue neutral numbers that Kyle gives are something that he has to give by statute. It's just, so I know that there's some focus on whether that is necessary or not. I don't think Kyle chooses that. That's a statutory requirement. So that's all I wanted to report to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Andy Pleil?
Always start with me.
You were right there beside the last person.
All right. I just wanted to reiterate, this ladder truck procurement is not a question of whether or not we should do it. The question is how we are going to budget it and where and when the cash flows occur and how it's going to be impacting on budgets in this year and years going forward. So given that there are a variety of funding mechanisms, and we've adopted a perspective that maybe debt financing is a better way to go than cash payment up front. There are multiple ways of doing this, and I challenge Mr. Brewer and Ms. Moore and whatever staff are necessary to maybe by the workshop meeting give us some idea as to what alternatives we might want to evaluate. And the other thing I'd like to do is get an update on where we are exactly in the procurement process. Do we have a final vendor list? Do we have an RFP? Have we had replies to the RFP, what are the specifications? Are those firm or are they still variable? One thing I read in Googling is that you need to be careful that you don't pay a lot extra for just chrome and whistles. So, and that's the specification list. And I know Alan Wilson is an expert in what his needs would be and what that should look like. So I'd like to maybe have that on the agenda as an update, where exactly we are, to make sure that if we do need to budget the $378,000 in this coming budget year, because we have a bona fide need for that as an expenditure, that we do it. But if we don't, maybe we move it to the following year. So as far as the budget is concerned, I think Mr. Brewer and staff have done a really great job in the initial cut. I think council has an opportunity now to review and then identify further areas where some modifications might be necessary, maybe in how much or in terms of where the funding alternatives might lie, which brings us to the rollback question. And I think the sanitation department, which is responsible for our trash, also does the rollback, right? And it's a Fund 10. It's a general revenue fund.
No, the trash company does not do the rollback.
No. Sanitation as a department is a Fund 10 department. The rollback services are conducted by the employees of the sanitation department. So as funding is fungible and dollars are fungible, we as taxpayers are paying for the rollback one way or the other, either because we have to pay for that and not pay for something else out of the revenue that we generate from your trash bill. So it's neither here nor there, but we have alternatives. One, I think pushing it back on the people that benefit might be one alternative. I know we used to do that, and then we didn't have the opportunity for code enforcement, and GFL decided they no longer could afford the manpower to do it for us, and then we adopted a different approach. So there are opportunities there to evaluate how we can better do that. It's a nominal savings, but it's a savings nonetheless. As far as the NCDOT traffic light experiment, we struggle. I live on the south side of the island, and Saturdays are just the day to go to the beach and not to go to Food Lion, right? And we've all come accustomed to that. It's not great. We need to think about ways to fix it. This is an experiment. It's well designed. I think the timing of it in using May is better than trying it on July 4th. Because if it fails, it'll be a miserable failure for everyone on July 4th. At least we'll get some idea on the data. I'm curious, Mr. Brewer, we are already collecting data now without light?
Data in regards to what?
Volume, throughput, delay, that kind of thing?
Not actively collecting that data right now. We have typical average annual daily trip counts, traffic counts that may be generated from NCDOT, but the town monitoring direct time needs to get from point A to point B is not something that we document.
Well, if I were to design a clinical trial, I'd use a crossover study. So I would have a period where we didn't use the light and a period where we have the light and see if there's a difference in the outcome. But that's not.
That is the effect of traffic being backed up beyond those certain points that have been identified as failures. So when we know traffic is at a certain point, we know things are failing.
Well, I'll leave it up to you and the DOT to give us the data at the end, and we'll have an opportunity to discuss it then. And the final thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, by the way, thank you for the survivors who were still here. I appreciate all the folks that came early on and the questions that were asked. And what I'd like to ask council and the mayor to consider is there a possibility at the workshop in May to maybe change the way we interact with the community and set up a slot of time and where there can be an exchange. So a discussion as opposed to a presentation without response. So allow a question to be asked and allow a council member or the or one of the staff or Mr. Brewer or the, are you going to be here? Yeah, or the attorney to respond so that we have an exchange as opposed to what almost often ends up being a one-way presentation. If we have an opportunity at a workshop meeting to try that, particularly for things as important as the budget, I really would appreciate that. So if anyone has any ideas on how to do that, that would be great. And with that, thanks for listening. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Andy. John?
Okay. None of my comments are going to be towards this budget because I think we've discussed enough of it tonight. But anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. We had 32 people tonight. It's an all-time high since we've switched this to 6 o'clock. Backyard Beach Blast. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Bella. And Gabrielle's not here, so I'll just pass on the thank you. Did a great job. It was the first one, and it came off very, very successful. And thanks for all the volunteers that showed up and volunteered for it. Mr. Horn, you still back there?
He's there.
Thank you, sir, for your service and what you do, because that is certainly something that if we didn't have you and we had some problems, we'd have more problems. Beach safety, ocean rescue, thank you and your people. I know they departed, but I know you're on the beach all the time, and I know you're good. And I was really impressed with, I saw it, the little device you have for, I guess, explaining rip currents. I saw it once at the Beach Bash, and I saw it again at Ocean Fest. What's that called? Yeah. See, I was supposed to remember that, and I said, what do they call that? It's a rip current test, I guess. But if anybody has the opportunity, I said that they should take that to the school and show that to some kids so they can watch the little things that float and watch what happens to them when they get caught in a rip current, because a lot of people, more people than none, come down here and really aren't familiar with swimming in the ocean. And even if they are, they should know that, because it's a very, very good aid. National Police Week, Chief, thank you and all your officers for what they do, because I tell you what, I sleep good at night knowing you guys are out there. Ocean Fest was really good. It was raining, but it still was good. It was. It seemed like it was very happy to be back where it started. You know, they tried it somewhere else, and I don't think it worked as well. But I tell you what, if the sun would have been out, there'd probably been 4 times the amount of people there. But there was a lot of people there, and it was really nice. And that's all I have for this evening, Teresa.
Thank you, John. Mr. Cannady?
I'll try to be brief.
Oh, come on.
Oh, no. Listen. Hey, listen, just know that when we're in these conversations about these budgets, a lot of times, and a lot of what I'm getting ready to discuss, I think hits these categories, and I'm going to try to hit these, what I think you call them quick hits. When you hear something for the first time, you're like, that's a great idea. Why are we paying for the rollback? Well, it's more complicated. And I'm not saying that we need to be doing it. I'm just saying it's more complicated than just on the surface. Hey, tourists pay for this. Well, it's just that and other. All right, well, you got to weigh it out. Either we're going to pay the people to do it, or you got to pay and overwhelm and maybe have to hire another guy on the enforcement side to write the tickets and find out and go monitor the management companies that are not doing it. So it's not just, hey, why are we doing this? Let's quit doing it. It's just more to it than that. Second thing that's more to it, the fire truck. Is for whatever reason, this fire truck conversation, it seems like it's growing legs and is becoming a huge topic. We'll get the fire truck figured out. We got to have the fire truck. We got to figure out how to pay for it. There again, it's complicated. Do we do it now? Do we lease it? Do we do this, that, and other? What we're going to do, and we'll figure it out as a group and as a committee, we'll figure out how to fund this fire truck without potentially causing the risk of another tax increase. That's what's happened before. Whatever reason, something slipped through the cracks. We needed employees. There weren't enough funds. We let this fire truck slip through the cracks. That's another $2.7 million. You got to come up with it now. It's no different in your household budget. Christmas don't sneak up on you. You know it's coming. You either start putting a little money aside here and there and prepare, or you're overwhelmed at the end, you're scrambling with credit cards and you can't figure out how to pay it. The roundabout. Nobody here thinks that the roundabout scenario that they're getting to try is going to be all end all solution. but we got to try something. We've been working with DOT. We've tried a couple of things. It's a build upon tactic. Hopefully, what we'll find, we'll be able to identify this part failed. Hey, you know what? This may be something that we can build on that we don't even recognize yet. So it's going to be frustrating. Facebook is going to blow up. People are going to go nuts. It's the first time they tried it. It's a pilot program. It's never been tried in North Carolina roundabout for a signal, especially on a single leg of a roundabout. Roundabout's designed not to have to stop. Okay, it's a pilot program, so that's good. Real quick shout out to budget. We've worked very hard on the budget. Kyle Brewer and Melissa Moore have ground out, and they have done a great job. I promise you. On top of that, we didn't really call it a finance committee, but the mayor, Councilman Pleil, Councilman Koloski, along with the town manager and Melissa, they met, I want to say weekly for a while, and they were grinding and working. Miss Trudy and Miss Alicia and myself, we had our own input. We can't all be in the same room at those meetings at one time, because then it becomes a forum. That's why it was broken out like that. We're able to put this together. And what we've accomplished by that is the state mandated, as our attorney mentioned earlier, revenue neutral rate that says, based on what was, this new rate gives you the same revenue. We were able to create, or they were able to create, a rate that was below that number. Okay, basically this is what we were before. We're below that now. So that is a goal accomplished. I'm gonna move on. I feel like I've taken up too much time, but I did want to hit those bullets and let you just give you a sense of there's always two sides of the coin. When you hear a idea, you're like, man, that's perfect. But where there's a yin, there's a yang. There's more to it than just yes or no, I promise. Thank you.
I know we talked about money and how the town gets money, and everybody thinks that we always go straight to property taxes to make the town's money. The town is very good about getting grant funding for a lot of things. Price talked about a $19 million grant tonight. The town manager talked about another grant. We are constantly looking for creative ways to get funds. We use a lot of our occupancy tax, which is the rental tax essentially, to help fund beach nourishment, to help fund additional staff during the summer. Being an area that we rely a lot on tourism. It's not just those people coming and renting the house. They spend their money here. We get sales tax off of it. They're buying gas here. They're allowing some of these businesses to stay open year round. So us as residents that live here year round have a place to go eat all the time, and some of these restaurants aren't closing during the off seasons anymore. So we do look into a lot of different ways to fund the town, not just coming out of our residents' pockets. I know somebody mentioned something about stipends for our staff. We did a huge payroll study last year, and a lot of our additional expenses went to payroll. Payroll is the biggest expense the town has as a whole, and we made a commitment last year to make sure we were going to take care of town staff as a whole and keep the quality people that we have here and working, and to continue to work here. Those are all things, those are places that we have put the town's money. That is the reason why we have amazing fire and police. And the multi-use pass and the bus, I'm going to touch on for a minute. I know that's not something that everybody sees as a necessity, but it is a necessity for a lot of people. If you have families and you've got teenage kids that want to be able to get back and forth from restaurants or businesses, we're not having to get on the road and drive them somewhere. They can ride their bike, or they can walk from a community to some of these places. And again, those are things that we can potentially get grant funding for as well. But we do have to fund them, and sometimes that grant funding comes on the back end. But if we just sit here and wait, traffic is one of our biggest complaints that we have, and this is one thing that we can actually do to help alleviate it to some extent. So just because it might not be at the top of your list doesn't mean that it's not at the top of the list for a lot of other people, and traffic is a safety concern. And if we can get more of our people that live here off the roads, then we are doing you a service as a whole. And the same thing for the bus. The bus carries kids back and forth to school. We're spending more money on it every year to do repairs than it would cost us in the long run to buy any bus. So that's part of that, but it also gives us the opportunity to go out and maybe do some new things for the town as a whole, whether it's additional camps. I talked to him, I was like, let's do a senior citizen camp where we can take some older people that live in Surf City, put them on an air-conditioned bus and take them to the movies for the day because they don't want to drive all the way to Wilmington. There's opportunities there for us to do good things for our community. So again, just because these aren't things that maybe you specifically feel should be at the top of the list, they are at the top of the list for a lot of other people. And I love the idea of a town hall. Questions, if you ask us questions ahead of time and send us an email, I know for me, what I'm going to tell you is it gives us the opportunity to ask staff that question. And then a lot of times I come back and ask the question myself here. So it is a way for you to get your questions asked and actually get answers, but also give staff time to give correct information. Because sometimes if you come here with a question and they don't have time to prepare, then we can't give you an answer anyway. So it's not always us sitting here and just trying not to give you an answer or something. We might actually need time to find the information and give you accurate information. We're not going to sit up here and just blow smoke. That's not fair to you guys either. So that's it. Thank you.
Well, Alicia took a couple of mine, but no, I was actually going to comment about grants also. I don't even know if we've ever done a report of how much grant money we've, received year to year, but it's quite impressive, and it certainly doesn't need to be. It needs to be highlighted. Is my point, and I agree with what, because I already had that note too. So you were reading my notes now. No, and I agree with the a lot of the conversations we've had about our employees, and I worked with, when I first joined council, I spent a lot of time with our HR department and talked through a lot of our situations, and just really wanting to have good retention, because that does save us money also, instead of hiring new people all the time and training them, and just them getting used to the culture of Surf City and understanding what we're trying to accomplish. So I'd like to see us do what we can to keep our employees. We still lose a lot. We've done a pay study, and we're not the most, we don't pay as much as some of the other communities. So we do what we can to love on them in other ways. So I did start the meeting out today with reading the proclamation about the National Day of Prayer, and I wanted to remind people about that. It is May 7th, this Thursday, a couple days away, at 9 a.m. in Soundside Park. There's also going to be later in the month, I'll just go ahead and say this, even though we're meeting again before this, but there's our Memorial Day ceremony at 9 a.m. on Friday the 22nd at Soundside Park. So I'd love to see a lot of people at both of those events. They're both very well done, and I appreciate that our town celebrates both of those types of city and national events, really. And I just, with that comment about the National Day of Prayer, there's a lot of prayer and thought put into our budget too, and I hope everybody realizes that. And I'm just very proud to be part of this council. Melissa, thank you. You put up with a lot of, and we ask a lot of questions, and we'd want to hear your questions, because sometimes there's some, just like Kim Miller was saying, there's some questions that everybody's kind of asking, and that's a good one we want to address. Sometimes there's some very specific questions that only one person thought of because it was just something that they, was relevant to something they had learned before. So we really want to hear all that. We encourage you to reach out to us via email or call us or anything like that. Our information's on the website, so please use it. And it's hard sometimes for us to track down your information. So, but I'd love to hear from anybody. I'm leaving tonight to get to Raleigh to the City Vision Conference. And that's just another opportunity. We talked about using third parties and having outside influence and things like that. But that's going to be a lot of educational sessions that I'll be in, and a lot of networking, and just discussing current municipal issues. Surf City and our budget issues are not unique to Surf City. I talk to towns all the time are having very similar issues and problems. So this is an opportunity for me to go talk to other towns and seeing how they're managing their budget. We did talk a lot about disaster preparedness last year when I was in Greenville, and that was highlighted with how we recognized James tonight. And how we want to learn from each other when one of our towns has gone through some really rough times and what they didn't know that they wish they knew. We talk about those things at the City Vision Conference. And so I'll be spending the next couple days there and just discussing what's working, what's not, and then hopefully, always we all work on this, building relationships with different people and different levels of government that we call upon later, and they call upon us. And I know that Kyle and Teresa were in DC last week doing just that. And I don't think anybody really is always aware of all the extended efforts that we put into outside of Surf City that we need, because we don't want to be functioning in a tunnel and not have any vision of what could be better and different. So I want you to be assured that we do a lot of that. So that's it. Yeah.
You know what? When things go sideways, they go sideways fast. And today, things went sideways fast for our water department. But they were prepared, they responded. Things go sideways with the fire department, with the police department, with every department here in town. Melissa knows things have been sideways for months. But everyone comes together and works on it as a team because that's who we are. We are a team, and we listen and we care. I heard Kyle say in his presentation the word reduction. I don't know. I stopped counting, but it was a number of times that I kept hearing him say the word reduction, and I think that is something that everyone wanted us to say. We listened, and so reductions were taken into consideration when we worked on this budget. I'm surprised that Kyle has any hair on his head that is not white.
Look at his face.
What are you trying to say?
I'm surprised that he has a voice left.
Being very, very personal on this.
Kyle, it could be worse.
Yes, it could. Yes, you're right.
We have worked on it very hard, and I just wanted to say thank you to the town council that sits up here for all of their time and effort that they do put in it. Thank you for coming and sticking with us tonight, and we'll see you soon. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are